All right, we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Yard by Yard, season three. This is episode 63. We're going to keep it going. I'm excited to be back. This is the college football preview episode. I am in a new location in my new apartment. If you're watching on YouTube, yes, I am sitting on the ground in front of my couch. Why? Because it's the most comfortable and doesn't look too awkward. But let's get right into it. I'm excited to break this season down. We're going to go college football. I'm going to break down the top 25 first. His AP poll came out last week. We're going to get mad about a list. There's a few teams that I'm pissed off that are still on here, a few teams that aren't ranked high enough. And then I'm just going to have a bunch of random thoughts I have going on that I've been thinking about the past couple of months. I'm going to give teams that I think are going to exceed and shock people, teams that will fall below expectations, teams that are just going to be awful, my top games of the year, Heisman frontrunners, Heisman dark horses, hot seats, and then finally I'll give my final 12 prediction. We got 45 minutes because Zoom allows me to do 45 minutes. I haven't re-upped my subscription. I'll do that at some point, but we'll get a good 45 in for this one. So let's go straight into it with the top 25 poll. We have number 1 Ohio State, number 2 Oregon, 3 Georgia, 4 Notre Dame, 5 Texas, 6 Indiana, 7 Miami, 8 Texas A&M, 9 Ole Miss, 10 Oklahoma, 11 LSU, 12 Texas Tech, Alabama 13, 14 BYU, 14 USC, 16 Michigan, 17 Washington, 18 Penn State, 19 SMU, 20 Tennessee, 21 Utah, 22 Iowa, 23 Houston, 24 Louisville, and 25 Missouri. I'm going to start off with this. Stop ranking the Missouri. What do they have going for them? Last year, all they were doing was being ranked in the top 25 every single week, and they sucked. And now we still got it. Get them out of the top 25. I hate it. I don't know why Louisville is here. I don't. Nothing about them. I mean, last year they were pretty good, but I don't really know much about them going into this year. I don't know why we're putting Jeff Bromman's an amazing coach. Maybe you're going to kind of shock some people, but I don't know why they're here as well. Other things that jump out at me. Penn State, I think we're given a lot of. I think we're already hyping Penn State up a lot with Matt Campbell. He's a great coach. Brings over Rocco Beck, who's a good quarterback too. But I need to see a couple games first from to have them ranked inside the top 20. I would have been fine with the top 25. I think Utah should be higher. I think Utah's gonna be really good this year. Michigan at 16, I like it. But that's another team that I could have seen in the top 25. Didn't really finish the year out that great last year. Alabama, lowest they've been ranked in the AP top 25 in a long time. USC, a sneaky team to watch at number 14. This is a prove it year. This is a hot seat year for Lincoln Riley. He's been on the hot seat for a while. LSU at 11, I think that's perfect for LSU. You don't put the expectations. There are crazy high expectations for them, but you don't put them as high as possible. Texas Tech, I think they should be lower. I think they should be a lot lower, with definitely not having the Brendan Sorsby, which that was a whole fun thing over the summer. The one that I really hate is I don't know why A&M is in front of Ole Miss and Oklahoma. Now, they're bringing back Marcel Reed. They've got a good defense and all of this stuff, but we all watched that game against Miami. They were not impressive. They were not impressive at all. They couldn't throw the ball downfield, and Miami just killed them. So I don't know what we're going into putting them in the top 8. I would switch them with Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is a team that, look, this is another, they just extended Venables, which I think is a crazy move to do before the year, especially with how hot Venables' seat has been lately. I mean, I guess he helped it a little bit last year with getting to the playoffs, but still, you had all this expectation, your quarterback gets injured. Now you have a jacked, I mean, you guys seen John Material lately? The dude is jacked. We'll see if he can continue the production he had before he got injured last year. I would like to see it because I'm a John Mateer fan. I'm a Brent Venables fan. But look, I mean, this is a team that a lot of people are picking for a dark horse championship team. And I mean, I could see it, but I need to see it put together for a full season. Miami, I like Miami at 7. They lost a lot of players on that defense. You still bring back Malachi Toney. And then one of my Heisman dark horses is Darian Minsa, the quarterback from Duke that transfers over to Miami. He's a really good quarterback, has gotten a lot of buzz lately, but he's a very good quarterback, and I think he's going to light it up this year in the ACC, and they're my pick to win the ACC right now. Indiana at 6 is crazy. I think Indiana should be inside the top 5. I think they should be but the thing is, I don't know who I'd switch them with. Maybe Georgia. Georgia's good, but I'm going to go off on a tangent on Georgia later on, but Georgia has got a prove it year this year. Really, they do. They need to get back to being Georgia. Every year I've predicted Georgia's going to get back. They're going to get back, but they never are fully Georgia again. So that's something we need to see. I think Notre Dame should be higher than this. I think Notre Dame should be in the top three. I think Notre Dame can win the title this year. This Notre Dame team is really good. Marcus Freeman is one of the best coaches in the league. CJ Carr is my Heisman pick for this year. He is really good. He came in as a true freshman last year. First game at Miami, played incredibly well, and then just got better each and every single week. Now, we know they didn't get into the playoffs last year, so who knows what he would have done in the playoffs. But, man, he's a baller. He can play really damn good, and this is a really good team that has a very good team around him as well. So the Notre Dame team is built to win. The secondary is probably the best secondary in all of college football. Their defense is going to be strong because of Marcus Freeman. I'm excited to see this. Oregon, probably the highest rated team coming in. A lot of people's championship picks because of Dante Moore, and they returned so many starters, so many good players. So that one's going to be interesting to see as well. I got hair popping in the back here. It looks a little awkward, so if you're watching on Zoom, sorry about that. We'll bump it down. But those are my initial takes that jump off at me. I think BYU's a team we can watch. Washington's another one. I love Washington. I love Damon Williams. He's a really fun quarterback. He's a dark horse Heisman pick for me as well. There's just a lot in this top 25 that I kind of love to read, and I can really be excited about. So, all right, let's get into the other thoughts. My main thought that I've been brewing, LSU brings in all these transfers, right? They got Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt was, behind Brendan Sorsby, he was the transfer quarterback and brought in. My main take is, why are we so high on Sam Leavitt? Why are we so high? Yes, he was injured last year, didn't have the best year. The year before, he was pretty good, but let's be honest, that team was led by Cam Scadaboo. They went so far because of Cam Scadaboo, and they had good wide receivers. You had Jordan Tyson. I mean, you had good wide receivers on that team. I hope he proves it well, because if he's good and LSU's good with a good quarterback, and we know Lane Kiffin can develop quarterbacks, then that'll be fun to watch. But I think we need to cool off on all of the hype so far, because I think he's good, but he hasn't done a ton so far to just kind of jump out at me for me to automatically go, oh, he's going to be incredible this year. Now, what Lane Kiffin did this year and what he's done the past couple of years at Ole Miss, and he does all the time, is he doesn't just rely on one quarterback through the transfer portal, one quarterback on his depth chart. He brought in the backup quarterback at USC who's really talented, former high recruit. I'm forgetting his name, but he's very good. And I would just keep on watch for that guy, because, look, the same thing happened last year. He brought in Trinidad Chambliss from, I think it was D3 or D2, and the guy was a winner. Now this guy is sat behind Mavia at USC, but he's been in the Lincoln Riley system with good quarterback play and a good quarterback coach. Now he goes to the other great quarterback coach in all of college football in Lane Kiffin. I think we could see, look, if Sam Leavitt starts to struggle or if he gets injured or something, I think we could see the same situation that happened with the Trinidad Chambliss and an Austin Simmons last year. So keep an eye on that. That's my main take with LSU, kind of thing that's been going. Another random thought, watch out for Elijah Griffin. Elijah Griffin is the best defensive tackle in the country. He's on the Georgia defense. He is just a monster. He dominates the line of scrimmage. He can kill a team's run game just by himself because of how good he is. And he can be the key. I talked about it earlier. Georgia's facing an important season this year because, look, they've fallen flat the last few seasons. We were used to dominant Georgia, winning titles back-to-back in 2021 and 2022. And now we've got a Georgia the past couple years that, look, they've been in the playoffs and they've fallen flat. We've all expected Georgia just to punch people in the mouths, kill them, do all this stuff, and they really haven't. And they've struggled in some games too, some that's surprised us. So this is a really big prove-it year for Georgia. I really think Kirby can get this team back to where they are, because he is one of the top 5 coaches in the country. There's no doubt about that. And I'm always a believer in Georgia. Can Gunnar Stockton play consistently well? That's a big key. Can their running game be consistent as well? That's another huge key. The defense needs to get back to where it is. They have a really good secondary as well. Them and Georgia and Notre Dame probably have the 2 best secondaries in the entire league. That's something I'm really excited to see, both those teams. And so can this be the year that Georgia goes back to dominating? Can this be the year Georgia goes back to dominating the SEC? It's going to be tough because you have teams like Texas. Texas brings in a ton of talent. main key maker there is main playmaker there is Cam Coleman, the former 5-star transfer coming from Auburn. He had a crazy year last year, even with Jackson Arnold and I'm forgetting the other one who wasn't great, or Deuce Knight. But adding him to this offense, along with Ryan Wingo, and then on the defensive side of the ball, Texas has Colin Simmons. Look, Texas is Texas is a top team in the SEC. I think we could see Texas and Georgia again end up in the SEC championship here. I can't really get. I don't really know who's going to win that conference. I'm a toss up between both those teams right now. But another team I also could see winning it too is Oklahoma. Oklahoma returns, a ton of talent. Oklahoma returns a ton of key starters. John Mateer, you lose some wide receivers with Deion Burks was their main guy, but I think Satanga is still there. If I'm wrong, my bad. But I mean, you've got really good players there for Oklahoma, and Venables is really building something good. And he made the playoffs last year. That's a huge jump for him. You finally got your quarterback there. The defense at Oklahoma is always going to be really good, so that's never something you have to worry about. It's just, can the offense be as consistent as the defense has? And if this team can play as good as they played in the first couple of weeks last year, I definitely could see them winning the SEC, because they're a team built to win, and we've seen John Mateer be successful, and he's great. And I didn't know he could run the ball so well, and he was great with that offense with Brent Arbuckle. So that's a team I'm really excited to see. I think we can really see a huge jump out of them this year if they can stay healthy and they can stay consistent. There's another team in the SEC I want everybody to keep their radar on. We haven't thought of them the past couple of years because they haven't been good. They've been mediocre or just awful. Kentucky. I want to watch out for Kentucky. Kentucky brings over Will Stein, the offensive coordinator from Oregon, worked with Bo Nix, worked with Dante Moore. He's done great work with quarterbacks and building them up to be really good. He brings over 2 transfer quarterbacks. One, I believe, was from, I need to look him up, but 2 good transfer quarterbacks over at Kentucky. And I think we need to watch out for him, because Will Stein's a great coach. He's going to bring he's brought a lot of transfers over. They're going to play really well. They got a really interesting schedule. In the first couple of weeks, they play LSU and Alabama. I think they get one of those teams, and I think it's going to be Alabama. I'll get more into Alabama in a second. I think Alabama is Kalen DeBoer is also in a prove-it year, even though they extended him, which is crazy. I think it's crazy that a lot of people are saying, Kalen DeBoer doesn't have to win 10 or 11 games to keep his job. No, he does. He does. This is the University of Alabama we're talking about. You don't think Nick Saban is going to get on the phone if they win 8, 9 games again? That's not the Alabama standard. He's going to get on the phone and be like, hey, boosters, buy this guy's contract out. Let's get somebody else in here. This is ridiculous. The people in Alabama are going to be rioting in the streets if that happens. If they win 8 or 9 games again. Now, they won a playoff game last year. Yeah, that was good. Huge for Kalen DeBoer. Huge kind of momentum push for him. Now, they did yesterday, they named Keelan Russell, the Duncanville former 5-star quarterback. He's going to be their starting quarterback, which he's very good, very talented. Interesting to see him get in there and play. I think he's going to be good for this offense. They still got Ryan Williams. They have a lot of talent. Alabama isn't a bad team, but we have seen mediocrity out of Alabama and losing games that they should not lose the past couple of years. And it's not the Alabama we're used to. It's not the Alabama standard, right? So I totally could see, if they have another 9-win, 8-win season, I could see Kalen DeBoer getting fired. I could. It'd be a huge buyout, but it's not the craziest thing in the world because of the standard that Alabama has and that they always have had. Another team in the SEC I kind of want us to keep our eye on is Mississippi State. Mississippi State was pretty frisky last year. They had some good wins. They played some teams really tough. I mean, you almost beat Texas at home. You beat Arizona State at home. I mean, they played some really good games, and they have a quarterback who can play well. Jeff Lebby's doing great over there. I think they're going to be a team on the rise this year. Now, that's not saying they're going to go to the SEC championship, but I think don't be surprised if they win some games that they shouldn't, because I think they're building something really good over there. And Jeff Lebby's kind of finally getting his hands into the roster and NIL and getting all of that building. So watch for them. All right, let's go into some more other thoughts. Already said, has to be the last chance for Lincoln Riley if he doesn't do anything well. You got to think it's got to be his last chance. And I think he knows that too. I think he knows that he's on the hot seat. I think he knows that he's in trouble and he has to do something really well. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Lincoln Riley, be on the hot seat at all, or be fired at the end of the year if they don't produce again. When he went to USC, we're getting Lincoln Riley. We're going to be in the playoffs every single year. That hasn't happened. It hasn't. And especially with the 12-team playoff now, you should expect them to be in. Now they're in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten is now the most dominant conference, or the best conference in the league. And that's something I'll kind of touch on a little bit too, is just that I think we're in for a couple more years of the Big Ten dominating. I think the Big Ten, is taking advantage of the NIL. They're doing the right things. Indiana's going to be right back in there this year. Ohio State's there again. Julian Sayin, I think, is just going to be even better this year. He was great last year, but I think he's going to be even better. We all know about Jeremiah Smith. Bo Jackson, the running back they have, is really good. They got a great defense as well. So, Ohio State always reloads every year. They're going to be there. Now, with Kyle Whittingham over at Michigan, Michigan got one of the best coaches in the entire league. He's an incredible coach. He's been incredibly consistent at Utah. Now he comes over to Michigan, where Michigan's dealing at the Sherrone Moore stuff was crazy, and now Michigan has a good coach that can build a team. And let's see if we can get more out of Bryce Underwood this year. Let's see if Bryce Underwood can live up to the hype. We saw flashes last year of him doing really well, but really when it mattered, he was not able to show up in those big games. That's something I'm interested to see about them. Another one I kind of had to, and I talked about this earlier with Matt Campbell and Penn State, but I don't think it's going to be this year. I don't think it's going to happen that quick, but I think Matt Campbell is going to have more success than James Franklin ever did with Penn State. And that's mainly because of the coach that Matt Campbell is. Now, I think Virginia Tech is the perfect place for James Franklin, and I think Virginia Tech is going to be a top 15, top 20 ranked team this year. I think they're going to be good because James Franklin is a very good coach, and he brought over a lot of transfers. He signed a lot of recruits already that he took from Penn State. But Matt Campbell at Iowa State has been consistency defined. He has been a consistent team. He's been a consistent coach. He's gone to the Big 12 championship a couple of times. He's had some really great players. He's developed some really good teams. Brock Purdy, David Montgomery. He's had really good players on his teams, and I'm really excited to see what he can do with this Penn State team, with the Penn State money, the name brand of Penn State in college football. Iowa State's a big team, but let's be honest, when we're comparing Iowa State and Penn State, that's like comparing a chicken Caesar wrap from Bad Chicken here in Dallas, great place, to a chicken Caesar wrap from McDonald's. I don't even think they have those, but you get what I'm saying. It's not on the same level. I think that they're going to have success. Now, I don't think it's going to be immediate, and I don't think it's going to be, I don't think they're going to go to the playoffs this year, but I think they're going to make a run in the Big Ten, and I think some people are going to be shocked. I think some people who don't follow college football as closely, aren't the ball knowers that some of us are, that know Matt Campbell, are going to be like, wait, who's this guy? No, he's a guy who's built teams and has had consistency at Iowa State for years, and he's going to continue to do that at Penn State. And bringing over all of his transfers, including Rocco Becht, is just another part of that, which is going to make it easier for him. What was my next point? All right, let's get into my list. I got a couple of lists. Teams that will exceed and shock people. These are teams that no one's really thinking about, no one's really talking about, but they have all the right pieces. They've got some momentum going into this year, and I could see them shocking some people and being a team that makes it into the playoffs. Or we look up in November and wait, this team's undefeated. What in the world? NC State, Iowa, Kentucky, already talked about them. Washington, Demon Williams is, last year came onto the scene, was really good, but wasn't as consistent. I think just having another year in this offense and another year of growing and maturing, I think he's going to be really good as well. UCLA. Now let's think about this. UCLA brings over the James Madison coach who took over after Kurt Cignetti, and he was the same success at James Madison that Kirk Cinetti was. He was winning a ton, developing a lot of players, and people were really good. Now he goes to UCLA, a UCLA team that They haven't been amazing the past couple years, but it's UCLA. They're a big name brand. He can bring in players. He brought a ton of transfers over from James Madison. He has Nico Amalieva, however you say his name. Now, we've given Nico a lot of shit on this program the past couple of years, and people in general have, but I just want to say watch out for Nico because being in a competent system, we saw UCLA when they fired their head coach last year. They upset Penn State. They took some teams to the brink. I think we could see a UCLA team kind of make a run here and be kind of frisky and shock some people in the Big Ten, especially. I think we can see that because I think he's a very good coach coming over. I think he's going to be able to do some really good things and shock a lot of people here. West Virginia. West Virginia had some momentum last year with why am I forgetting his name? West Virginia head coach. He's legendary. West Virginia. I got to Google bad radio. Head coach, football. He's a legend. Rich Rodriguez. Yeah, I mean, Rich Rod, they won the game. They had that crazy overtime game against Pitt last year. They're saying is eat shit Pitt. That's also a really fun rivalry, the backyard brawl. I mean, it's something we got to watch is West Virginia. Can they make a run? Can they shock some people? Can they just be a little bit better? Because, look, West Virginia football, when they're fun, when they're good, college football is fun in general. So I'd like to see them be pretty good. The last team here is another SEC team I didn't really touch about earlier, Florida. Getting John Summerall over, it's going to be a couple-year process for them to be back up. But I think John Summerall is the right coach for Florida to build them back up to be, one of those teams. I think he is the right coach to establish the Florida toughness that we saw from Florida in the 2000s with Urban Meyer. I think he can get them back to being as good as they, were, competing for national titles, competing for SEC championships, winning big games. I think he can do that. It's going to take a little bit for sure because he's got to establish his culture and do all this. But I just think the John Summerall experience is going to be way better than the I don't even forget his name. He was the head coach at Louisiana Lafayette, then went there. Now he's at James Madison. I'm forgetting his name, but I think Florida's a team you're going to watch out. Now here's the teams who I think are going to fall below expectations. I think LSU. I think LSU is going to fall below expectations. Now, do I think LSU is going to be bad? No, not at all. Part of this is the way the media is portraying LSU this year. And, why wouldn't they? They bring over Lane Kiffin. You bring over Sam Levitt. You bring over, all these transfer players. You're LSU. You are the biggest brand in college football. And now you have all the hype. So, of course, everyone's going to pick you to win. Of course, everyone's going to pick you to win a national championship. Everyone's going to pick you in the SEC. But I think it's not going to be that fast for LSU and Lane Kiffin. Now, next year, I can see next year LSU getting to the national championship game. But I don't think it's going to be that immediate. I think it's going to take some time for sure. You got to get the system, in the Lane Kiffin era established. It's not just going to be right out the gates. Now, I'll give an early week one prediction. I think they're going to pummel Clemson at home. I think all the hype going into that game, Lane being in Death Valley, I think they're going to kill them. I think they're going to stomp them because that's the other thing too. I think Clemson's in for a bad year. Next team is Texas Tech. I think a lot of people are praying for Texas Tech's downfall this year. I wouldn't say I'm praying for their downfall at all. I was annoyed by the Brendan Sorsby stuff, but I really like their head coach. I really like Joey McGuire. I think he's a really good head coach. He's worked his way up. He was at Baylor there under Matt Rule. Just to think if he was at Baylor and taken over under Matt Rule, I think Baylor would be in a way better position than they are right now. Baylor is awful. But I think Texas Tech is just not going to – I don't think Texas Tech is going to win – I don't think they're going to win like 7 games. I think they're going to win like 6 games this year. I think reality might kind of punch them in the face this year. They had a really easy schedule last year. I think it's going to hit them in the face this year, and I don't think they're going to be as good. I don't think Texas Tech is going to be as good. I think they're going to fall way below those expectations. What was another team? Vandy. Vandy, I don't think – I mean, they bring over the freshman 5-star quarterback that they stole from Georgia and Alabama. I just don't think they're going to – I think I don't think they're going to fall all the way back to being what Vandy was. I think Clark Lee is a great coach over there. I think he's the right coach for Vandy, but I don't think they're going to be as good as they have been the past, especially last year. They almost made it to the playoffs last year. I don't think they're going to be as good. I don't think so at all. I think they're going to have a down year. I don't think that's going to shock a lot of people either. Losing Diego Pavia and Eli Stovers is going to be tough. But I do think Clark Lee is the right guy there to make them consistent, but I don't think they're going to be a contender in the SEC and doing that well. Now, who are the teams that are just going to be flat out bad? Like, these teams are going to be awful. 1-1, Baylor. Baylor, you're going to be bad. Let's be honest. Dave Aranda should have been gone way long ago. You had the athletic director change and all this. I think Baylor is going to be really, 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 really bad, which is opposite of last year. I was very high on Baylor for mainly because of Sawyer Robertson. I loved Sawyer Robertson. He was a really good quarterback, but I think Baylor is going to be bad this year. Lagway, I don't know what to expect out of Lagway this year. We saw Florida Lagway. I am interested to see if he's kind of able to reinvent himself and be a little bit better here at Baylor. I'd be shocked if he's not. I expect him to improve this year overall, but Baylor's just in a really bad position. They need to fire Aranda. I think it's going to be a really bad year for Baylor. Number 2, Florida State. Florida State, it's just going to get worse for Florida State. They should have fired Mark Norvell last year. The collapse that they had was crazy after beating Alabama week 1. I think it's just going to continue to get worse. I think this is the year he gets fired. They bring someone else in. To go from 2023 to now where, he's on the hottest seat possible is going to be very interesting. I think he's going to get canned. I think they're going to be really bad this year. This one's obvious, Arkansas. I don't think, I'm an Arkansas guy. Everybody knows that. Went school there. We're going to be bad. We're going to be really, really bad. We got one of the toughest schedules in the entire country. Week 2, we go to freaking Utah to play at night, and then the following week, week 3, we play at 11 a.m. at home against Georgia. That's just brutal right there. I don't think that's going to be, good for us. I think we're going to get demolished. I think it's going to be a really tough year. First year in the Ryan Silverfield era. I'm interested to see what happens, and I'm interested to see him as a coach. If you can see, progression in NIL and recruiting and things like that, that'd be good to see. But we just got way too tough of a schedule for the team we have and everything we have going into this year that I just don't think we're going to be very good. And I don't think that shocks a lot of people. My last team, I kind of touched on earlier, but Louisville. I like Jeff Brom as a coach, but nothing about Louisville this year kind of jumps out to me. He's a good quarterback, kind of guru and kind of grows him, but I don't know. There's nothing about him. Last year they had Miller Moss, and look, they were pretty good, an established quarterback already, and some good running backs. I don't think it's going to be that way this year. I think Louisville is not going to be that great. That's why I'm pretty shocked that they're in the top 25. So I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be that great. Yeah. All right. Next one. I'm going to go to my top games to watch. Some of these are pretty easy, just high staples. OU, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Bama, Georgia, LSU, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana at Michigan, Ohio State and Indiana, OU and Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan and Ohio State. I kind of touched on that already. Another one, Notre Dame, Miami, and it's going to be awesome. Notre Dame has a lot of really good games. They play Wisconsin week 1. Wisconsin's not a great team, but in week 8 we have Ole Miss and Texas. I think that'll be a fun game. Georgia and Oklahoma week 4. Obviously LSU and Ole Miss in week 3. That is the game everyone's talking about. Did I touch on Texas, Ohio State? I don't even think I touched on that. That's gonna be awesome in week 2. Week 6 we have Georgia, Bama. Week 9, I said it earlier, we could see a good USC team this year. And week 9, USC gets Ohio State at home. That could be a really good one. Week 13, always we have Texas A&M and Texas. Week 7, I think I said Ohio State, Indiana already. Yes, I did. We got some really good games. Also week 11, Texas going to Baton Rouge. That's going to be a fun game too. It's guys, we're so close. By the time you're listening to this, we're going to be 5 days out from college football. we are officially 6 weeks out as I record this. It's Sunday. The first game we have is we have Notre Dame. I mean, we have TCU and North Carolina. I love TCU in this game. You lose Josh Hoover, but TCU is still a team. I think TCU is going to be back in the Big 12 this year. I think they're going to be a competing team and be pretty good. This is also a prove it year for Sonny Dykes. Big prove it year for him. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see that we got ball coming so fast, you guys. It is. It is. We almost have ball. We almost have ball. We're close. If you're kicking it through the summer, the heat is killing you, like it's killing me. You're just trying to get to the goal line. And let me tell you what, we're at the 10-yard line right now. We're almost there. There's about to be football on your TV, meaningful football. Preseason's going on right now, but that's not meaningful. There's about to be meaningful football on your TV in 6 days. Now, 5 that you're listening to this, 5 days. I'm going to drop this Monday morning. 5 days we have football, you guys, okay? It's going to be incredible. It's going to just and then we got Memphis and UNLV, a sneaky good game. I talked about them earlier. NC State and Virginia. Virginia's kind of building some over there, and NC State has a quarterback that is really damn good and has all the intangibles, like 6'4", can throw it 100 miles an hour, fast. That's gonna be the game I'm really hyped to watch. Is that game? But all right, let's calm down. Get a little too excited. Not too excited. We need to be this excited. All right. Heisman frontrunners, these are just the obvious ones. CJ Carr, Trinidad Chambliss, Dante Moore, John Mateer, Jeremiah Smith, Malachi Toney, Kawan Lacey. I mean, I could go on for all these guys. Bryce Underwood, Julian Sayin, Josh Hoover is one people are going to talk about. Arch Manning, of course. There's Sam Levitt. There's going to be a lot everyone's talking about, right? But those are kind of the top ones off my head. Here's what I kind of love more are these dark horses. I talked about this guy last year. He's one of my favorite players in all of college football. He's really good, does not get the respect that he deserves, is Devin Dampier over at Utah. I think they're going to be a lot better this year. He was pretty good last year, but not as consistent. First year into a big program. I think he had some growing pains, and I think this year he's poised and ready to do really well. Next guy, I already talked about him, Darian Mensah. I think he's going to be awesome. I think Miami as a team is going to be good. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be interesting on the defensive side of the ball to see with all the guys they lost. But look, we know the one thing about the Heisman we know is it sucks, but it is turned into the best quarterback on the best team. And I think that Miami, if the defense holds up, I think they can be the best team. I think he can definitely win it, and it's all about the hype too and the narrative. And just imagine, a quarterback for Miami playing out of his mind, a Miami quarterback having a chance to win the Heisman. The media is going to run with that, and they're going to try to get him to win the Heisman, and everybody is. So just those are some futures I would look out for. Keelan Russell, I know I talked about Bama in the 8 and 9 thing, but Bama has an opportunity where Bama can be Bama this year, and Bama could be really good. I think that's something we need to watch out for. I think they very well could, and Keelan Russell could be the main reason of that. Ty Simpson was great last year, but there were some inconsistencies, especially with the offensive line. If the offensive line is shored up a bit more this year, and you finally have you got a quarterback who's more mobile than him in Keelan Russell, I think Alabama, if they put it all together, they can be really good, and I think Keelan Russell could win the Heisman if they're that way too. Last one's Damon Williams. Talked about him already. Love him. He's an awesome player. I just really watch out for him. I think he can be really good. All right, we're going to end on the last two. Hot seat coaches. The hottest seat possible in all of college football right now is Dave Aranda. I talked about Baylor already, but Dave Aranda is awful. Baylor is looking bad. The crazy thing about Dave Aranda is when he gets fired from Baylor eventually, he is going to go to a team and be a defensive coordinator, and that team is going to have one of the best defenses in all of college football because he is a defensive mastermind. He's a very good defensive coach. So Baylor fans, you probably should be ready for that once he leaves, that whatever team he goes to, they're going to have a great defense, and you're going to be like, what the hell is this? This is annoying. Mike Norvell, already talked about him. Shane Beamer. Shane Beamer at South Carolina does not get the talk of the hot seat as much as he should. he's had a couple of years there where they've flirted with getting into the playoffs and stuff, but other than that, he's got all this talent and they lose these games that they shouldn't. I mean, 2 years ago they collapsed against LSU at home when they had a huge lead. I mean, he should be on the hot seat just single-handedly for blowing that game against Texas A&M last year at Texas A&M. I don't know how you blow that. I think they were up 28 points or something, and then you lose that game. That itself should be the reason why he's on the hot seat. And you got Lenora Sellers, who's a really good talent. I forgot. I'll add Lenora Sellers in the dark horse Heisman. Who knows if South Carolina can have a good year because everyone hypes Lenora Sellers up, and he's really good. But it's just gonna have to see what happens. Brent Venables. I said his seat cooled down, but it's still pretty hot. I mean, Oklahoma, you expect success. You expect title contention every single year. If he doesn't, he's going to be right back on the hot seat again. Lincoln Riley, Luke Fickell, he is clearly on the hot seat at Wisconsin. If he can turn around this year, then maybe he's cooled himself off a little bit. But he ended the season pretty good last year at Wisconsin and saved his job, I think. So let's see if he can kind of keep that momentum going a little bit. Bill Belichick. He's on the hot seat because if they are as bad as they were last year, I think he's gone. I think he might just quit because he's probably going to be like, screw this. This is annoying. And lastly, Kalen DeBoer. I think DeBoer is on the hot seat just because of the Alabama standards that I was talking about earlier. I think he's really going to be on the hot seat. Hugely on the hot seat. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here with going over my top 12 prediction. This is going, I'm not giving an order 1 through 12. These are just the 12 teams that I think when everything finishes after that last week and the final rankings come out, I think these are the 12 teams that are going to be involved in there. Now, as the season goes on and we get closer and closer, I'm going to eventually give out who I think is going to seed where. But we'll go here. Number 1, Indiana. Sorry, not number 1. That's just how I ordered them. Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Miami, Ole Miss, Utah, Notre Dame, A&M, Texas, Oklahoma, Penn State, and Tulane. I think those are going to be our top 12 teams that are going to end up. I hope we don't end up with a situation like last year where we had 2 Power 5 teams land in it because that just pissed me off. That pissed everybody off. That made everything bad. That really made the entire world mad. Rightfully so, having Tulane and James Madison in there. But we love football. All right, we love football. Now we're gonna end on some picks. I'm gonna give out some picks. Who I think is gonna win the games in week 0. There's a lot of week 0 games. There's only a few that actually matter. First off, the best game. 11 a.m. You have UNC and TCU. This is the one in Dublin, Ireland. TCU is a 7.5-point favorite. I'm going TCU here already. I just feel way more confident, and I don't trust UNC or what they have. Next, USC is at home at 2 p.m. against San Jose State. USC is a 38.5-point favorite. You take USC there. Again, and then at 2:30 on ESPN, we have NC State at Virginia. Virginia is a 5.5-point favorite. Over/under is 53.5 there. This is a weird game, though, where it's not an ACC game. Because of the NIL and all this scheduling stuff and all the, the conference moving and all that stuff, this is not a conference game for either of them, which makes no sense. I can't explain it because I'm not smart enough to know that. Google it because I don't know. I'm going to be so honest. Someone could ask me that. I'm going to be like, dude, you're asking the wrong guy. I can't explain it to you, but it just apparently isn't. All right, next game. Let's scroll. Florida State, 31.5-point favorite at home against New Mexico State. It'd be really funny if Florida State lost this game in week 0 because we know Florida State lost that game to Georgia Tech a couple years ago. That was really funny. So that would be very funny, but I'm going to take Florida State there. Stanford and Hawaii at Stanford at 6 p.m. Stanford minus 5.5. I don't know what either of these teams are like, but I'm going to take Stanford because I know Andrew Luck is there as the GM, and I think he's working on getting them in the right direction. But shout out the Rainbow Warriors. And lastly, we have Memphis at UNLV. UNLV is a 5.5-point favorite, over/under 57.5. I think this is going to be a fun game. Dan Mullen at UNLV has been a fun team. electric quarterback play. I think we're going to see some of that again and high scoring. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. We're going to get to see what the Memphis era post Ryan Silverfield looks like. A lot of people were wanting him to go, so that's going to be fun to see. I've got Memphis in this game, actually. I think Memphis is going to win this, go into Vegas and win this one. All right. Well, that's episode 63. College football preview. We're back. This felt like one of the best episodes I've done. I'm not going to lie. Guys, I've had these thoughts just in my brain since like May, since like post draft. I've just been like, my brain has just been football, football, football. Like football is coming. Football is coming. That's outside of everything else. When I get some free time, my brain is just football, football, football. Like I'm at the gym, football's coming. I'm hanging out with some buddies at dinner, grabbing some beers. Football is on its way. We're close, guys. We are almost there. When you're listening to this, we're gonna be 5 days away. Okay, 5 days away from meaningful football on our TV, and I am so excited. I know you guys are too. Once again, I appreciate everybody listening. I'll be back next week with a week one preview. That one's going to be, I promise this one will be longer. But yeah, I appreciate everybody listening. It is great to be back. And yeah, enjoy the football.